everybody, Chef Ashley here with EdVenture Eats at Home, and today we're going to be making one of my favorite things to cook ever. It's a chicken and seasonal veggie noodle soup, and it's awesome. So if you've been following along on our Facebook and social media pages, you've probably seen the recipe list posted, so go ahead and get your ingredients ready. Of course, whenever we're cooking in the kitchen, we have to wash our hands first. So go ahead and wash your hands and grab any of those veggies you didn't wash and wash those really quick too, and we're going to get started in just a second, okay? So right now we are washing hands and getting ready to cook some delicious soup. All right. So this is one of my favorite soups to cook. We teach it a lot in the cooking lab. I make it home a lot. And one of the reasons that I love it so much is it's super, super easy. So what we've got today is a ton of different vegetables. I'm going to show you what I've got here. If you want to make more of a traditional carrot, celery, onion, chicken noodle soup, you can stick with the basics. So we've got our carrot, celery, and onion. And then we're going to add a couple of our seasonal veggies. So seasonal means that it grows pretty well in South Carolina during the summer. So I've got some zucchini. I've got some squash. Those are two of my favorites. They're very mild. And then I've got a couple mushrooms. I love mushrooms, so I'm going to throw those in there. And then we've got red bell pepper, which is really sweet. So that's going to put a little bit of sweetness into our soup. And then I've got some greens. So today I've got some kale and some spinach that was hanging out in my refrigerator. And this is going to be the best time to use up all those extra veggies, so I'm going to throw those in there too. I also like lots of fresh herbs. So I've got some cilantro, parsley, and then I've got some fresh basil. If you've got some dried at home, that totally works too. So what I want to reiterate is this is a super easy soup. Just use whatever you have. No problems at all. And if you have any questions, Chef Kenny's going to be down in the comments below. So if you have any questions while I'm cooking, just ask Chef Kenny and he will be happy to answer your questions. So let's get started. So first we've got our stock pot. So you want to get a good soup pot ready, and then we're going to add about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. If you've got butter, you can use that too. So we're going to add a little bit of olive oil in there. That's going to keep our veggies from sticking. So just a couple gloves right in there. And we're going to put our heat on about medium-high because we want it to get nice and hot so we can get these veggies sauteing. So we're going to start with our onion. And remember how I showed you to hold your knives last time. You've got your big knife here or a small knife at home. That works too. You've got your blade and your handle. You're going to put 2 fingers right in the center there and wrap the rest of your fingers around so you have a nice grip on your knife. And then with your other hand, we use what we like to call the claw, which pulls your fingertips back so you don't cut them off. So you're going to use your claw to hold your fingertips back and hold your knife just like this. Okay? And we're going to use our whole onion. So you're going to go ahead and cut the top off of your onion. And then you've got your little stem right here. You can cut straight through that. That's what kind of holds it all together. And then we're just going to make some cuts straight up our onion here so that we can get a nice dice on it. Straight through there. There's lots of different ways you can cut your onion. Any way that you're comfortable is going to work perfectly. And we want to get all of our veggies kind of cut in the same shape so that way they cook in the same way too. Alright, so cut straight through that, get a nice dice. I always do my onions and my garlic first. Alright, and I'm going to give you a 2-for-1 today. If you hang on to your veggie scraps, I'm going to show you something cool later. So hang on to your veggie scraps. So the end of that onion there, it's going to go in this pile here. Alright, and then same thing with the other half. We're going to get a nice dice on our onion. You can hold your knife with your finger here to kind of direct it, or just like this. Either way works. But nice even dice. Just like that. Using my claw, I'm going to saw through that. And we have cut our sweet onion. I Vidalia onions are really good in the summer in South Carolina because they're really sweet. Onions are a thing that it's kind of one of those things that you have to practice cutting. But I'm sure that you guys are great cutters at home. Alright, so I've got my onion diced, and I'm going to go ahead and put that into my stock pot. It's on medium-high, so it should get cooking pretty quickly. Alright, grab a spatula or a wooden spoon and kind of disperse that onion throughout your pot so it can cook really evenly. There you go. And I'm going to crank it. Alright, so next we've got garlic. Garlic's really, really good for you, especially if you're not feeling good and you're making this chicken noodle soup, or as I like to call it, love soup, because I make it for people I love when they don't feel good. You're going to take about 4 cloves of garlic. These ones are huge, which is great. So, get those, and I'm going to show you a trick on how to get all this annoying skin off of them. There we go. 1, 2, 3. There's a big one. 4. If you want more garlic, put more garlic. If you want less, put less. Whatever you want to do. So, with garlic, a trick that we teach in the cooking lab, and now at home, with EdVenture Eats at Home, you take your garlic, take your knife flat like this, and we're going to set it right on top of our garlic clove, and we're just going to hit it with our hand once really hard, and it smashes it. And when it smashes it, all of that skin comes right off. So, you don't have to sit there and try to get it all off. You can hear those onions going out probably. Hopefully yours are sauteing too. Keep an eye on them. Kind of move them around a little bit, get them going. There we go. That already smells good. People will think you're a really fancy cook if you just get onion sauteing. They're like, what is that? And you're like, I can't tell you, it's a secret. Alright, so we're going to do the same thing with those other 3 garlic cloves. If your onions are going and it's really, really hot and you see it sticking a little bit, just turn it down a little bit. There we go. Ooh, that one is big. Great, I love garlic. If you wanted to, you could add some ginger root in here, especially if you're making it for somebody who doesn't feel so good. But if you feel good, it's still good for you. Ginger is an awesome, awesome thing to add to soups. Alright, so we've got our garlic cloves, and these we're going to just kind of cut through all at once. Be careful of your fingers there. And what we call this is probably a mince, so we're going to go a little bit smaller than we did with the diced onion. So a mince on the garlic. Like I said, if you want more or less, go for it. This is your soup. Alright. Garlic's going in next. Should look a little something like this. You got it. Straight in the pot. And we're going to give it a stir. Oh yeah. Smells amazing. Alrighty. Alright, next with this soup. I always say go with your harder vegetables first because they take a little bit longer to cook. So we're going to go with our carrots. I've got 4 carrots here. I already went ahead and used my peeler on them, but I left one to show you. So you just take your peeler and you're going to face that down and peel your carrot if you need to. If you've got baby carrots, you don't need to. And some people don't care about the skin on their carrots. So you can leave it on if you want to. Whatever you want. We've got these ends here. We're going to chop those off carefully. And we're going to save our scraps, remember, because I'm going to show you something later. So save the end of your carrot and save your little peels. I'm going to show you something cool. Alright? So with these, what you can do is very carefully using your claw, you're going to go straight down the middle. And we're going to cut our carrot in half like this. And then we're going to cut it in half again. And the reason that we're going to do that is because that's going to kind of give us the same size cut as our onions, so that everything will kind of cook pretty evenly. So, here we go. That one's kind of big. You can cut it down if you want to. It'll be okay. Alright, so line them all up like so. And then you're going to back and forth nicely dice your carrots. Carrots are really good for you too, good for your eyes. They have all that nice big carotene protein in there. Again, with anything that we do with our soup, if you love, love, love carrots, put more. If you don't love your carrots, that's sad, but you can do less. It's okay. Alright, here goes our first carrot. It's looking good. Keep an eye on your pot to make sure that nothing is sticking or getting too hot. Just kind of keep an eye on it. This is a really fat carrot, so I'm going to cut it into thirds. They actually cook pretty quickly. You would think them being such a hard vegetable, they would take forever, but they don't. They cook pretty quickly. And some people like their veggies a little bit crunchier. Alright. In they go. 2 down, 2 to go. How are you guys doing at home? Hopefully good? I see Chef Kenny down there in the comments. I know he's hanging out with you. Alright. Almost finished with our carrots. Again, you want all of those diced about the same size so that they cook at the same rate. Got that third one in there, and I'm definitely going to give it a little stir. So, like I said, you want to keep an eye on it, make sure nothing's sticking. Beautiful carrot, garlic, onion. We are getting there, my friends. Alright, I'm going to set my spatula there. And we got one more carrot to go. This one's huge, so I'm going to cut it in half. There we go. So, some other really good vegetables that you can put in today that we haven't really talked about are going to be things like butternut squash and sweet potatoes are really good. Anything that kind of puts a little bit of sweetness in there is my favorite. So, those are some of my favorites. I like lots of greens like kale and spinach. If you like tomatoes, they're good in there. If you guys don't love your veggies too, which everybody should love their veggies, but if you don't, that's okay. You could do this the same way, but maybe just do it with like onion and garlic and just protein like chicken. And that would make a simple soup too. But you know, I always got to push the veggies because I love veggies. And I especially love South Carolina summer veggies. Alright, last carrot going in. Perfect. Some little guys missed it. I'm going to throw them in there and give it a stir again. So, I still have my heat on medium-high. I have a really thick pot, but if your pot's a little thinner and you see everything really sticking, you can turn the heat down just a little bit. And you could add a little bit more of your olive oil or something so that it doesn't stick. Alright, next, celery. Celery cooks pretty quickly. We're going to slice straight up the center of our celery and cut it into threes like this. And then dice away and add it to those carrots. Chef Kenny and I always tell people, like, if you think that you don't like celery, you probably do, because celery doesn't really taste like much, especially once it's cooked in. But it definitely gives chicken noodle soup that signature flavor that it needs. Alright. If you're cutting a little slow, that's okay. I told you, this recipe is mostly just chopping things up. So it'll give you some practice with your chopping skills. Alright, that's 2. Here's number 3. Keep an eye on your pot. There we go. Third one in, give it a stir. Oh my gosh, you guys, this soup's gonna be the best. There's already so many vegetables in there. Okay, last one. Last stalk of celery, And then I want to show you guys something cool. Get it in there. We gotta get this soup cooking so we can eat. I'm starving. I'm ready for lunch. But I'm always hungry. All my friends know that. I can always eat. Alright. So, what I was going to show you guys is if you see this in the center of your celery stalk, you're like, what is this? This is just tiny baby celery with the leaves. It has a ton of flavor. So anytime I'm making soup, I kind of add those little baby stalks in there with those leaves because they have a ton of flavor. So I'm just going to throw those in. Alright? So celery's in. We've given it a stir. We're going to go with our next hardest or softest vegetable, which would probably be the zucchini and the squash. I love both. I said we were going to only add 2 extra cups of veggies, but I'm adding a ton of extra veggies. You can if you want to. Follow along with me. Keep the end of your zucchini. I'm probably going to do half a zucchini and half a squash. Okay? So half your zucchini like this. Half it again like this. And then we're going to quarter it, which means using 4 pieces of each of those halves. And that should produce some dices that are about the same size as everything else we cut. Zucchini and squash cook pretty quick. Oh, I forgot my red pepper. I gotta throw that in there too. I love red pepper. Alright, so you're going to cut your zucchini in half, cut it in half again, and then each of those pieces you're going to cut into quarters, which is 4 pieces, and then we're going to dice up from that. I know I'm doing a lot of numbers at you, but you got it. Alright, give it a stir. Oh, yes. I love it. Okay, squash next. I'm going to use half of my squash too. Keeping those in. Half. And then quarter each half again. And then dice up. We're getting lots of practice chopping today. Alright, straight in. If you don't have the veggies that I randomly picked out of my refrigerator, that's fine. Go ahead and just cut them about the same size as our carrots and onions. Straight in. I'm going to cut off a piece of my red pepper. This is a sweet bell pepper, so it's not spicy. It's actually really sweet. You could also use orange. You could use green, yellow peppers, any kind of peppers. And we're just going to cut that into thin slices. I used about 1/3 of it. Thin slices like so. And then we're going to dice those guys up too, and I'm straight in. Peppers cook really quickly, and I don't mind if they have a little bit of a crunch to them either. Okay. Almost done with our veggies, guys. You're doing great. Hang in there. I know Chef Penny's taking good care of you down in the comments. Alright, I gotta throw in a mushroom because I love mushrooms. This is a baby portobello mushroom. Mushrooms are really, really good for you. You can use white button, you can use shiitake, you can use whatever you find in the store. I'm going to slice that one fat tomato up and then dice them as well. Okay, straight in and give it a stir. Hopefully it's smelling really good at your house. I know it is at my house. Oh my gosh, yes. And then last but not least, I'm going to add in my greens. I've got a ton of kale, a ton of spinach. You could use collard greens if you wanted to, if you had those, mustard greens, any kind of greens would work. I already, of course, washed them, and then I chopped them pretty small. And these you add in last because they don't need a really long time to cook. They just kind of like wilt and come together. So I'm going to dump them straight in there. And stir, stir, stir. You'll see that spinach instantly starts to wilt. Kale too. It doesn't need long at all, especially if you chop it really small. You could also just leave it whole if you feel lazy. That works as well. Sometimes I'm really lazy with my soup, and sometimes I just chop everything like crazy. Just depends on how I'm feeling that day. And any way you do it's going to be okay. Alright, so this is crazy, but I kind of want to show you what it's looking like inside. Check it out. Lots of sauteed veggies, everything's coming together, but now we got to season this because we don't want soup with no taste, alright? So, of course we've got salt and pepper, and then some that I think really make a chicken noodle soup is going to be like Italian seasoning, basil, thyme, any of those things that you would find typically listed as poultry seasoning is going to work pretty well. So I've got some ground thyme here. I'm going to add a sprinkle of that. I have some fresh basil, but I'm going to add a little bit of dried basil as well, because I think you can't add too many flavors. Basil, 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 basil. Add that in. I've got Italian seasoning, which has got, let's see, marjoram, basil, rosemary, thyme, oregano, savory, and sage. A ton of different herbs. So I'm going to shake that in too. And then my go-to, garlic powder and onion powder. How do I listen to this? There we go. Alright. We've got garlic in there, but, I mean, you know, you can't put too much garlic in something. I don't think so, anyway. Onion powder. Before I add my salt and my pepper, I'm going to add one of Chef Kenny and I's favorites. We've got Mrs. Dash here, so it adds a lot of flavor, but it doesn't add a lot of salt. And then I just found this. It's called Bragg's Organic Sprinkle, and it has 24 different herbs in it, and I've just been putting it in everything. Noodles, potatoes, everything, chicken, tofu. I'm obsessed with it. See if you can find it. Bragg's. 24 herbs, no salt. It's the best. It's got like rosemary and pretty much everything I just put in it, so we're going to double up on it. So I'm going to shake that into it. I think it also has a bunch of dried veggies in it too. It's really good for you. Alright, so I pretty much put every single thing that I can find in my cabinet in there. And now we need salt and pepper. Sprinkle a little salt in there. Our broth's going to have a little bit of salt too, so you don't need to add a ton of it. And then, of course, you know, some people don't eat a lot of salt, so, you know, you don't want to oversalt. A little bit of pepper. If you like it spicy, you could add some chili paste or chili powder. That would be awesome. All right, now give it a stir, and it's really going to feel amazing. Oh, my gosh. Yes, yes, yes. All right. So everything is really sauteing. What you want to look for is that all of your veggies are starting to like sort of become translucent and softened. That's when you're going to know that the time is almost right. So next we're going to add our chicken. I am using cooked chicken already. If you were going to be cooking like tenderloins or chicken breast or thighs or something from scratch, you would probably want to do those first. With your onions and your garlic, and then add your veggies on top of that. But I already have some cooked and shredded chicken. I got a rotisserie chicken. It's really easy, and that's what we do around here. And you can use the bones to make broth, and you can eat on it for a few days. You can put the chicken breast, which is pretty much what I have, to go into your soup, and then you can use some of the other stuff, you know, for other dishes like chicken salad or something. All right? Stir, stir, stir. Oh my gosh, it looks amazing. So we've got all our veggies in there, and our chicken, and our seasoning. Last step, we're going to add our herbs. So we've got our bay leaf, which is what our recipe called for. One big one or two small ones, straight in there. Bay leaf is got kind of a savory flavor to it. And then you can add your fresh herbs, which I like went overboard because I love herbs. So I've got parsley and cilantro and 2 different kinds of basil because I'm crazy. I love herbs. Straight in. Give it a stir. And that's almost it. We're making soup, so we need liquid, obviously. So I'm going to say that it's time for our broth. So you can use chicken stock like this or broth. Stock's going to be a little bit richer. They both work, broth or stock. And it depends on how soupy you want it. I like my soup kind of like chunky. I like big chunks of vegetables and noodles and stuff. So I don't put a ton of broth, but if you like yours really brothy, that's what you're going to do. You'll probably add 3 of these. I'm going to add 2. The ounces are 32, so 64 ounces, if I can do math right, is how much I'm going to add too. You're going to crank it to high because we want to bring it to a boil, and then we're going to add our noodles. So crank it, add your broth in there. I cheated. I already cooked my noodles so that I could add them in a few minutes and show you what our soup looks like without having to wait on our noodles to cook. But egg noodles cook pretty quickly, like 5 or 6 minutes, and then they're done. So what I would say you can do right now is bring it up to high, give it a stir, and because this pot was really hot and the contents are really hot, it shouldn't take long to come up to a boil. When it comes up to a boil, that's when we're going to add the noodles. I'm going to go ahead and add the noodles that I cooked so that I can kind of show you what it looks like. So I'm going to grab those real quick. So get your noodles ready. These are cooked egg noodles. I'm going to add them right in there. Recipe calls for 6 ounces. Typically, the bags that you find in the store are going to be about 16 ounces. So you would use a portion of that. Or if you like it really noodly, you can do the whole thing or a bunch of noodles, however you want to do it. Alright? So you're going to be waiting at home for yours to come to a boil, and then you're going to add yours. I just added mine so that I can show you what it looks like. But I'm going to hang with you for a few minutes because I want to tell you guys something really cool that I do. Alright, so remember how I was talking about how we're going to keep all of our scraps from all of our veggies, and I was going to show you something cool with it. So what I like to do is make kitchen scrap stock. And so that's like basically vegetable stock that you make at home with your own vegetables, using just stuff that you have already used in your kitchen instead of buying vegetable stock at the store that tastes like nothing. Because it always tastes weird to me. Like it just is full of sodium and it tastes weird. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to make it at home. So I always keep little bags, and Chef Kenny gets so annoyed at me because in the cooking lab at EdVenture, there's always these big bags of like scraps like this, and he's like, when are you going to make your stock? They're taking up too much room because I'm obsessed with doing this. So I get little bags and I keep all of my scraps like this. So I've got, like here, I've got the peels from the carrots. I've got, you know, some of the stems from the spinach. I've got the end of the celery here. We're going to throw in those pieces of onion. You don't want to put in any stems like this of your zucchini, so you want to cut those off because they're not really good for you cooked into something. But see, I've got a whole piece of zucchini there that's extra. So I'm going to keep all of those. And I'm just going to keep this bag in my freezer, adding scraps to it like a crazy person, so that I can make my stock later. And the way that you do that is super easy. You're going to take all of these bags of your scraps. I would say you need probably 4 of these, just assorted veggies, or like 1 big gallon. You're going to roast them with a little bit of maybe rosemary or some thyme or any sort of herbs you've got around, a little bit of salt. You're going to roast them, and then you're just going to pour water over them, and you're going to let them go. Just bring them up to a boil and just let them simmer and simmer and simmer for about maybe an hour. You're going to strain off everything, all of the veggies, and you're going to have a beautiful veggie stock, which is awesome. So now you know. Now you know how to make kitchen scrap stock. Pretty cool. Alright, so this is up to a boil now here. It's really going. And I'm going to grab a spoon because you got to try your food while you cook it to make sure it tastes okay. So get a little spoon. Make sure you blow on it. If you're cooking for other people, of course, you never put your spoon back in there. You need to toss it. But try your stock. Oh my gosh. Yes! Like first try, it's perfect. But I have been making this for a long time. Alright, so try it, see what you need. Do you need a little bit more garlic? Add some more garlic powder. You need a little bit more salt. You need a little bit more pepper. You like a little kick to it. So add your seasonings again in there. At home, if you're up to a boil, you're going to go ahead and add your egg noodles, and you're going to cook it for an additional about 5 minutes until those noodles get soft. I'm going to show you what this soup looks like here, because I cheated and I cooked my noodles. Alright? Oh my gosh. You guys, I love this. Gotta get all the veggies in there. And I'm hungry. I want a big bowl. Let me get another soup. You can just leave this on low and kind of let it cook down as much as you want. If you like your veggies really soft or your noodles like really fat, just let it cook for a while. But this is what we're working with here. How beautiful is that? And it smells amazing. So now you guys know how to make it. You made seasonal veggie and chicken noodle soup with Chef Ashley from EdVenture Eats at Home. You guys did awesome. If you have any questions, leave them below. Chef Kenny and I will answer them for you. If you've got any ideas for what you would like to see next week, also comment, share with your friends. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time. Bye!